Um, real quickly then, it looks like we've got some folks here. I'm not really sure who they are. Who's the one that's calling in from the 708 number?
That would be me.
That's Henry. Henry's calling in from
Henry.
our office.
Okay, so for purposes of minutes, Henry, what is your full name and who are you here with?
My name is Henry Heligas, and I'm here with Engberg Anderson.
Henry, can you spell your last name for me?
Heligas.
Excellent. Thank you for your patience with me. We've got to record this all for posterity. Okay, and someone's here on an iPad.
That's me.
That's Cal.
Cal. And I'm trying to make my picture come up, but I can't do it.
Okay. Then I have Isela's iPhone and Isela.
That would be me. Sorry, I'm literally pulling in from two locations, my work computer and my iPhone. So I am Isela Catania. I am the interior designer with Engberg Anderson. So it's great to meet you.
Okay. So first name is Isela.
Yes, correct. And my last name is Catania.
Hey, Eric, this is Bonnie. I'm happy to take the minutes for today's meeting.
That would be amazing.
Done.
Just because we're recording and because I can then update everybody's presentation, their little box here. I'm just getting everything down for the record here. So if you could take the minutes, that would be amazing.
Yep. I just, I have Kathy, Eric, Bonnie, Henry, Nathan, Cal, Isela. 7.
And Jason.
And Jason.
Yep.
And Martha and Katie.
And Martha and Katie with audio. All right.
Well, just for a second.
Got it. Thank you. Anyone else I didn't get? All right. I think we're past roll call now.
We are indeed. And we are called to order. And the first item of business, very quickly before we jump into the main roll of things, is just the approval of the minutes from the last meeting on November the 1st. I had sent those out along with a link.
I motion to approve the minutes from November 1st.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, Cal, you can't vote.
I wondered about that. I forget what
I'm sure
I
there
was
was
not sure whether this was a foundation meeting or a library meeting.
No, building and grounds.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So minutes are approved, and Shaun, that means that it is your show.
All right.
Let me give you co-host responsibilities here so you can share stuff.
All right. So I did send this to Jason rather late. Jason with Shales McNutt Construction. So thanks, Jason, for being able to jump on.
No problem.
I should have forwarded it to you sooner. So I have a small presentation here to kind of walk through things, just kind of a higher level. We're going to be looking at some renderings, preliminary furniture stuff. Our hope is that we kind of get some feedback today on likes and dislikes. One of our goals would probably be, or that we'd like to do, is order some of the furniture items to be delivered to the library for testing purposes. But if so some of the feedback today, if you like some of the furniture options we're showing, great, we'll get them ordered. If you don't, I'd rather have them not deliver something you don't like. So I think just some feedback there. And then with the finishes, we are going to look at some finishes for the space. Our goal is to kind of also get kind of likes and dislikes, but then come and actually have you see the finishes. The renderings are only useful to some degree. It really needs to be based off the real materials. So we do a really We try really hard to get the materials to look as close as they are to the real thing, but I'm not at your house. I don't know if your monitor's tuned perfectly, and it's just really hard to get renderings to be perfect. So kind of take the concepts that we're going to talk about today, and Isela will kind of walk you through those. And if you like them, obviously we'll bring those finishes. If you want to see more, we can pick different ones. But we have a lot of, I think, really nice options to sift through today, and hopefully not necessarily select, but narrow down. I think we don't want to do any selection unless we're in person. So I'll start out. This is the space. Everyone hopefully remembers which space we're talking about. The plan from the last meeting that we picked, we wanted to see a sliding door, so we were able to put the sliding door in. And that's located here. So just to kind of orient people, this is the stairs up to the mezzanine. You come into the library, you work your way back. Here are the two restrooms, and then we're back in the reading room in the back here. This is the existing opening that we'd fill in with a glass wall and a glass sliding door. We have a two-person study table, a little higher, mounted on the east wall here. We talked about adding a monitor for the space for some flexibility. We have 4 lounge chairs and then 2 kind of laptop side tables that can be flexible for the space. And then we have kind of the fireplace and built-in millwork wall along here. And that's really what we're going to be kind of looking at the most today. We talked about the possibility of a little bit of storage, as well as some open bookshelves on either side, really allow flexibility for the library to kind of use this area as it needs, or as needs change. So there's a couple of black and white images, and then we start adding some of our colors. So I wanted to walk through, we've got this existing wood beam and the lighting and the ceiling. This was all gonna stay the same. We're kind of toying with the wall on the right. Do we try to fur it out with some drywall to kind of remove the block? You know, right now it's painted CMU or concrete block. We could fur that out with drywall to give it a more uniform look, or we can keep it as painted block. Right now we're just showing it as painted block. We've got the exposed brick on the back wall, a great feature in the room. And then your kind of ribbon windows and walls here. This is kind of how the space is working out. We've got a variety of fireplace options, so we're going to spend a little bit of time talking through those. And then on either side, we've built in some shelving, as well as a little bit of storage that we can take a look at. So I'm just going to slowly walk through. And Nathan, you know, feel free to jump in if I'm missing or messing anything up here. So right now we're showing 3 shelves on either side, 3 open shelves, a little bit of a countertop, an open shelf below, and then 2 kind of lockable or closed storage rooms at basins at the bottom. We did this because I think the bottom is less accessible. Really, it's anything from probably this railing or chair rail up becomes the effective zone. We could look at full cabinets on the bottom with the shelves above, but right now we have this kind of open shelf. We'll talk about materials for all these as we move in. So this is one style of fireplace, brings it up a little bit off the ground. The second style is a little bit larger, it's a bigger unit. It takes up a larger space, and it's a little bit closer to the floor. And then our third option that we're going to take a look at is more of a contemporary fireplace that's definitely a little bit longer, but you do lose a little bit of that height. So these are all kind of 3. This is more of a compact version. What is the reason we would show a compact version versus a large? Is cost. Cost is going to be probably the biggest factor there. You save money on the fireplace, but then we would have to buy a little bit more of whatever material we build the fireplace out of. So right now the flue is actually going up behind here and out the wall right about here. So it's a direct vent fireplace. It's not like a traditional home fireplace. And it is natural gas. I'm going to skip through these and actually talk just through the fireplaces here. I wanted to get your opinion on style and type and kind of see where we should be pursued. You know, which one do you feel has the best look or feel for the library? And then there are some options that we can look through in terms of like, what is the front grade and things like that. I can keep giving you options, or I can kind of pause here and see what you.
And Shaun, you're specifically talking about the actual fireplace opening size and style, not the finishes surrounding it or anything, right?
Correct, not the finishes. We're talking about maybe the size of the fireplace, and we can go back and look in the renderings as well, because they tend to all look the same, but they're not. Some of them are smaller and bigger than others.
So if I'm correct, the upper left-hand corner would be considered compact.
Yes.
And then below that, is that also compact, or is that?
No, this one would, I believe this one's a larger, these are actually, I believe, 5 different fireplace options.
Oh.
But this is a more compact version. The one on the lower right is a more compact version.
Oh.
And then we probably, yeah. The ones in the upper corners, the diagonals are the larger ones. And the center one is that more contemporary fireplace.
I want it to look like a fireplace. I don't want it to look like a compact something, and I don't want it to look like an elongated, you know, or a narrow rectangle. I just want it to look like a fireplace, and I don't care what it costs, because I'll cover that. Now you can put that in the record.
Well,
now
we're getting that donation. We're getting $15,000 from the Friends for specifically for the fireplace too. Cal.
I know, but if it runs more than that, I don't care.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I think the larger one looks really nice.
The Friends of the Library folks in their discussion did also voice favor for something that would look more traditional than modern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this is a great option here. You know, I think either of these would have been fine, but I think this is a good one. And going back to something like this, I want to talk through the fireplace itself is a double glassed wall element. So what that means is that you can go up and actually touch the glass. And that we think that's really important, but there's still like stylizing around the fireplace. I'm not asking you to pick today, because we would probably put 2 different fireplace manufacturers in there, and their grates are going to be specific to them. But we can kind of give, do you want something that has a little bit more ornamentation on it? Do you want something that's a little bit more simple? I just want to kind of get your leaning so that we can direct the initial contractor.
And then also, for example, as you can see on the top 2 images, we can do, so what I'm hearing is we would probably go with the logs, but you can have the option for stone in there as well.
An option for what?
The 2 images on the top, you can have stones on the right, or you don't need logs because it's gas, but there's a log option. We're assuming you want the logs.
Yeah, well, I would want the log. I don't know about anybody.
It looks much more natural.
Yeah, it does. You know, it's traditional fireplace. Has a log.
Is there any more ornamentation, less ornamentation on the fireplace fronts? Let me just go back one slide and see. These all look pretty open because I think they're trying to show the screen, but this one up in the upper right hand corner does show a different type of housing around the front, which is what I'm getting to. And that would be this option here. If there's any of these that jump out at you.
Okay. I thought that looked very nice. In the flesh, it looks a lot better than this little, the top one on the right. You say that the one that you showed us is like the top, this one. Yeah. See, it looks better in the flesh than it does in the diagram.
Right, and I think sometimes, sorry, Shaun, if the more ornamentational the grate is going to be, the mesh, the less of the logs you're really going to see. Yes, you're going to have the fire and everything, but it is kind of a layered effect. And the more that we put in front of it, you start to lose the feel of the logs and fire and the flame. So, you know, there's a couple of things to also think about when you're selecting them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we can kind of specify to start with something a little bit more like this option, which is this option here. And then once we actually get the fireplace that will be bid with the project, we can start finalizing that selection. I just wanted to get your kind of feeling, and that I think we're aligned there. So logs, yes. Some ornamentation, but not overly ornamentation.
Yeah.
Great.
And Shaun, does this produce heat in any way? And can that heat be turned off as well?
So it will produce some heat, but we're directing all of the heat outside. We can't, the room is we don't want to really mess too much with the building HVAC system. That's really going to start skyrocketing the cost. So our hope is to exhaust as much of the heat outside as possible, and that really the fireplace would be more aesthetic, but it will give off some heat. It's a fire, so there will be some heat given off by the room.
So it doesn't have to be a freezing cold day to use it.
Absolutely.
You could actually use it on a milder for a rainy day and just for the look of kind of a cozy room.
Right. Because this room is so small, if we did start exhausting the heat into the space, it would heat up really quickly and your building would be trying to air condition the space. Yeah. So I don't know if that would be good. I'm going to go back to some of the renderings now to kind of give you a fuller feel of the room. So again, the materials are placeholders right now. We're going to go through a material selection with Isela, but I wanted to give you kind of this helps you give a feeling of the space itself. This is showing that we could fur out this wall with like drywall on it, just a real thin layer, and get rid of the block effect. We can also just keep the painted block. It not a huge difference to us.
Shaun, do you have a picture of the actual painted block? Because I don't remember what it looks like.
Kind of see the edge of it there.
Yeah, right here. I mean, this is basically the effect you would get. I can try to make it bigger on the screen.
And I believe it's white in that room currently.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See on
The
near
painted
exit
cinder
sign.
block is
There's
the
also
painted cinder block is what it is now, Cal. So I can go take
there's
a
also
picture.
exposed. Oh, sorry. There's
So
also
it's-
exposed conduit on the wall too that the
Okay.
drywall would conceal.
Right.
So yeah, if we painted it anything other than white, I mean, even with white, you can kind of see it on this side. I'm trying to zoom in to the best of my ability here.
Well, actually, if you look above the drinking fountain, Shaun,
Oh
isn't
yeah,
that
that's
painted
exact.
cinder block?
Great idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like.
That's-
It's not a bad look.
No,
The negative is that the conduit, any sort of power data, the conduit's on the wall, it's not in the wall. So that's kind of a con to exposed block. But other than that, it's not. It's more of a preference, aesthetic preference.
Well, how much would there be? A lot of conduit on that wall?
I would depend if we added some
There's a
outlets.
fair bit.
Yeah.
A fair bit, huh?
Yeah, I want to say there's a fire alarm device on that.
Yeah.
And then I think there's power to feed the outlet that goes down with there's an existing outlet. Some of that stuff will be removed, but there is, I recall some stuff being on there.
Okay. And then if it gets enclosed, if you put drywall, which would hide all the electrical stuff, is that a problem later when something goes wrong with the electrical? You got to tear the wall down or what? Or things don't go wrong with the electrical?
Well, all the electrical in a public building has to be in conduit. So if something would go wrong, you would pull the wires out of the conduit and refeed it, or you would go into the outlet itself and fix it. I don't know what else could go wrong on that wall, Jason. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I believe it is mostly wire mold, so we would actually put a actual back box and like Shaun described, a conduit in lieu of what's there. So it would be code compliant.
In this picture that shows a brick wall, is that a conduit coming down at right angle?
Right here, yes.
Yeah, that looks like that's wire mold.
No,
Yeah.
that isn't what I mean. It's over in this other picture. Yeah,
Oh,
right
this one?
there. That conduit.
That's wire mold. So
yeah.
we'll switch that wire mold out to conduit and then drywall around it like you would like on a traditional framed wall.
Okay.
I would vote in favor of the drywall.
It'll definitely clean up the space and I think give it a little bit more of a finished look versus the painted CMU.
Yeah.
How much space does that take up? It's a small room. If you.
So on that wall, we'd probably look at a, hold on, let me get this bigger. So it's, on that wall, we probably, if it's just the fire alarm, Jason, I think we could do 7/8 inch hat channel with drywall.
Yeah, we'd have to see what is all crammed in there, but yeah, and Shaun's correct. The thinnest it would be was 7/8 plus 5/8, which is 1.25 inches. And then worst case scenario would be it would be 5/8, which would add another 5/8 girth to the wall.
It's pretty thin. It's a couple of inches is really where we're at.
We're talking 1.5 inches to 2 inches.
Mm-hmm. Hey, this is
1.5 inches to 2.5 inches. I'm sorry. So.
This is Bonnie. I think it was Eric who said he supports drywalling the room where there's cinder block. I would agree. I think it's a lot of money to put a fireplace in, and I think just warm the whole room up by putting drywall in.
Is there any acoustic benefit either?
Not, I don't think so. Not to the drywall.
I think it's especially a good idea if you can hide stuff like tubes snaking down the wall.
It looks very nice in the rendering.
Yeah, it does. It looks really nice.
So one of the things I wanted to kind of show in the rendering was some of the casework that we're planning, a couple of open shelves here for you to put things on, little open shelf down below, and then some lockable cabinets as well. So I think this was really meeting a lot of the things that we talked about in the last meeting that people wanted in terms of being able to display things. I mean, we're just showing some of our standard blocks that we have. You can put books here. You don't have to. You can put whatever you want, but it's just kind of open storage.
Can you put anything on that top shelf?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. And this kind of also is just intended to show the amount of space that the room has. So I do still feel that we're maximizing the space at 6 people. I don't think I would recommend any more than 6 in a room of this size.
Yeah.
On the outside, so we are showing the sliding door. The sliding door does have a pretty deep track. So the door height would be 7'8", which is the lowest door height that is allowed by code.
I think you mean 6'8".
6'8", sorry, 6'8". So you can see on the right here, this is representing what you have existing. This is like a 7-foot door and a 2-inch frame. So we're going to be down a little bit. That's mainly for the track to hold the sliding door, but we still do meet code. So it's an acceptable door. I just wanted to let you know that there is a little bit of a deeper head on a sliding door to get the sliding track in there. And then we are putting a little bit of vinyl graphics on this wall right now. We're just putting kind of a room name or our recognition area. We could look at something more artistic in terms of a graphic, or we thought that maybe just the glass and the name might be nice. It's really up to you guys. We can look at as many different options as you'd like.
Right. It's more of a placeholder at the moment.
Okay. And I did email Eric and say, after the meeting, I'll PDF this and send it over to you guys, so you have a record of it. And you can kind of look through it. And if, middle of the night, you think of something, you can let us know. Right.
Hey, Shaun, a quick question. This is Bonnie. The image you showed just a moment ago, is that fairly accurate that the cozy chairs, when you walk in the room immediately to the right?
Reading room that, we're selecting.
Let me go to the plan.
That they would be in front of the I guess the non-movable part of the sliding door.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go back to the first image. So we did slide these chairs down a little bit. Some of the glass would cover the chair. We did that because I think these shelving or these built-ins become a little less usable if we push the furniture up against them.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, currently, yes, we do have the back of a chair kind of up against the glass in that area.
Okay, thank you.
If we can go back at any time, but I was going to now allow Isela can kind of walk through some of the finishes.
Sure. So I actually looked at some of the previous work that was done and the imagery that was presented and some of the preferred images that started some of the color schemes and just sort of inspirational points. And so what we're seeing here is really a grouping of everything that we had worked up to. And so I took these palettes and these textures and these inspirational images as sort of starter points so that we can create about 3 palettes for you to look at and give us some feedback on so that we can start to order samples of carpets, fabrics, and paints. So what you're really seeing here is a bit of a combination of what I would say is a transitional feel and, a little bit of a mid-century design within these images. In the next image, we start to look at carpet as our bases to start off with. And so this actually is one of the manufacturers, and what I wanted to really bring in was something that was going to be easy to work with so that in the future, whatever happens outside of that room, you do have the opportunity to pick up either colorway or even a tone. As you can see, this is more of a gray tone on tone, but there is a lot of texture to it. There are 2 options in this group. There is a larger format tile, and they're all either 24 by 24 size tiles, or depending on the manufacturer, they could be 18 by 36 inch tiles. And the idea was that the larger format tile would be more of a center rug concept, and that the smaller carpet, which is on the bottom left, would be more of a border idea that we could use as a transitional piece between the existing space, that lobby, and kind of walking into this room. So it gives it more of a formal feel, more of a living room feel, having sort of creating an area rug for that space. So this is option A for these sort of textural tone on tone carpets.
Recently, I was in a building that had that upper, the top, yeah, that. And I remember remarking to whoever was with me, why would anybody use this? Because it looks like it has worn areas in it. All those white streaks look like you're looking at the back of the carpet, you know, the backing of it.
Okay. I think, you know, it's funny because sometimes the imagery in these presentations really don't give you the full story than when you see it in an actual sample. So in this image right here, there is a lot of textural differences. And I totally welcome your feedback. And, you know, if the pattern, the tone on tone sort of pattern on this slide is not to your liking, we can certainly look at something else that, you know, might fit the space. But the overall concept was to have something that was flexible so that in the future, if the furniture changes, if the fabric on the furniture changes, if the colors on the walls change, you have a neutral, durable color on the floor that has a little bit of a variety. So it's not just one solid, color of the carpet in that space. So there are other options. This is just one sort of textural option.
But the sample below, that looks like it has some textural.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like, you know, you could change the furniture around it and it would still look good.
Sure. Yeah, and we can keep going.
Okay.
So in this, a palette or this carpet option really started the inspiration for tile that we can introduce above the fireplace and surrounding the fireplace. So one of the ideas was to introduce something that could potentially be a horizontal format tile. There's a lot of different varieties, but in this group, we've got two. One you're showing that we're showing, A is more of a flat, but various size pin, just sort of thin striped tile that is more of like a mosaic type of application. So in this sense, this would be, you know, our most narrowest option. The option B has more of a dimensional look to it. As you can see on the left-hand side, the tiles actually do kind of weave in and out. It almost gives a bit of a basket weave effect. And it has more of a flagstone look to it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a horizontal option for the fireplace.
And I'll back up. We have 3 options that we're going to go through. So we're still in option type A. We grouped a carpet with a tile with a series of finishes, I believe, right, Isela?
Yes, and we could interchange. Once we look at the actual finishes and the samples, the tile samples, we can interchange any tile with any carpet. So I just grouped them together so that you can see what a certain tile would look like with a certain carpet and paint color. Like in the next slide, I grouped the tile, the carpet tile, as you see on the left-hand side, with the existing wood tone, the brick, and one of the tile options together, and brought in a couple of colors, a couple of grouping of colors, so that you could see a variety of options with this family group. There is that little carpet option on the left-hand side, sort of in the middle, right, exactly there, as part of that family as well.
And I would like to point out, we're not suggesting 5 colors for the room. We're just showing colors that would work within the space. Where
correct.
So if there's one of these colors that jumps out to you that you think would be really complementary to the room, or you just like that color, we could kind of focus on that.
So right, and to Shaun's point, just because we're showing color here, for example, one of the colors on the right-hand bottom side, our wall color is sort of that teal. And then we do have some chairs in that image that are close to that green color that is exactly on the left side of it. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's a wall color. It could be a fabric color that's complementing, the larger accent wall that we have in the space. So I'm just giving you a little bit of taste of, more than just one colorway, because we need to think about the next level when we look at the samples, fabrics, and that's our third level color.
You had a picture of a wall done in the stuff that looks like basket weave. Do you have a picture of the A one?
So unfortunately, I could not get a real installation picture, but I am going to be talking to the rep to see if we can get an installation shot somewhere. This option A actually reminds me a lot of the stone accent walls that were done in the 50s. So you do see a lot of that very thin randomness of stone that were a lot of accent walls in hospitals, in some libraries as well. And so they were more mainly sort of a feature wall.
And what is the material, like for instance, what is B made out of?
So all of the options that we're seeing in these images are porcelain tile that have a stone look, but we could also bring in a stone product that would follow that form and design of the pattern that you're seeing in A or B.
We're picking more of a porcelain tile right now because it's probably a little bit more economical.
Yeah,
So,
I was going to ask, wouldn't the stone be a lot more expensive?
Yeah, it depends. But yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we go to
B? Sure. Option B. So this takes on the idea of more of a fabric weave. And so this group has, again, the same idea. We would have more of a area rug that could be either the larger format or the smaller format. I think in this grouping, it could be interchangeable. But it gives you that feeling of an interwoven fabric. There is some textural difference to it. And I think overall, just a general contrast in it. So it doesn't look so monochromatic within the carpet. This is more of a longer plank, what we call a carpet plank. So these are 18 by 36 inch planks. And we could install them in different patterns, but I just wanted you to see this option as sort of the more fabric design option. Again, neutral and a tone on tone gray family.
I just remembered where I saw that carpeting. I didn't like it. Was at Northwestern Memorial, Northwestern Lake Forest Hospital, and they have a ton of it around.
Okay. So for this grouping, what I wanted to do is, since we had such a high contrast and textural pattern on the floor, we thought that in the fireplace, we could do more of a larger format tile. And by larger format, I mean either 12 by 24 tile or potentially 24 by 24 size tile. The variety that you're seeing here is more of a stone look. So option A is what we call a more of a sandstone striated type of tile pattern. B is more of a tone on tone stone, real stone look. And then option C is actually inspired by metal panels. So these would be more of a metal panel weathered look. A lot of different manufacturers make a good amount of, it's a porcelain tile, but the finish looks iridescent. So it looks like it's a shiny metal tile format. And they're very well priced compared to an actual metal product, although there is metal tile out there that we can certainly look at as well. So with either one of these, there's a variety of, and I wanted to show you levels of light and dark options for the fireplace. In the rendering, we do show a darker tile, And that's just to give it a higher contrast from the floor and the wood and the brick.
What is the material in the fireplace on the left there? Which of those A, B, C
So
options? Is
that would be closer to a B option, but that is a really dark.
Yeah. I think that really
colorway.
does look nice
So
against
do
the contrast.
do
of
these
the brick.
options come in different colors?
Yes.
I mean, because I think that's a small room. And I think putting up something as dark as what shows on the left there, and also the C panel, I'm not so sure that that would be a good idea.
Okay.
I think if it's a feature element, it's probably not that big of an issue. But I do think that if we did something dark on the fireplace, we would probably recommend something a lot lighter paint on the other walls to kind of brighten it up. So I think that we could interweave it, but we don't have to go with something dark. I think we're just trying to gauge your, this is a larger scale product as opposed to kind of the first product we looked at, which is a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
Your brick in your room, I would say, is more of a smaller scale type of product or medium scale. It's probably a little bit bigger than A. I don't know where it would sit with B, Isela.
It's probably almost the same size as B.
Okay, so B is a little bit more like the brick patterning that you already have.
Oh,
Right.
And these are definitely bigger. These will be a contrast to the brick and not, match as well in terms of like you're not going to be able to see the jointing kind of come through.
Yeah.
So here's kind of more of a summary image of B.
Right. So what you're seeing is some of the, on the upper left-hand side, some of the color options, whether it's a paint on the wall, whether it's an upholstery color for our chairs. It's just a group of color that we can bring into the space. And then we've got our 2 carpet options. And in the center, we show the brick up against a dark tile with, the color tone of your wood. And then obviously on the right-hand bottom side is our inspirational image for this palette. Okay, let's go through C. So C out of all of them is going to be the more subdued pattern, I would say, but there are variations in it that we can also do the similar concept where either we have a design that the center is a area rug, and then we've got a border around it as a transitional carpet between the room and the existing what am I trying to say? The existing yes, the existing spaces on the other side of the new wall. So this is going to be, there is a little bit of a pattern, but like I said, it's very subdued, and we could do the whole room in this. And all of these options, they come from the same manufacturer. They're supposed to work together, but there is a little bit of graphic on the upper left-hand tile. As you can see, it does have a little bit of an angular pattern. So this to me mimics more of like a suit, a little bit of, again, I'm going back to upholstery, but this has sort of that feel to it, more of a men's suit where it's striped, it's got some texture to it, but it's very elegant, and I think anything could work on this carpet. The tile options for this one, we've got more of a decorative glazed tile. So again, going on the pattern of the tile, of the carpet tile, we've got option A, which is a darker tile, but it has more of an angular design, what we call a chevron installation. And this could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be black, it could be any color. These tiles usually come in multitude of colors. And so if we wanted to do something lighter, we can certainly do an option B. Option B is showing 2 different tiles within the same family. The top portion of option B is more of a standard, what we call a subway tile. And then it has an accent banding, which we could do on our fireplace. And it has, the accent banding actually has a, the edges are a little bit more defined, giving it that pop, more 3D element to it. And so the carpet really kind of brought these two tiles as an inspiration to tie it all in together. And then our palette would be, again, you can see a couple different colorways, a little bit more, I would say, traditional in a sense. And this does bring in that traditional blue and a little bit of a play with green. We could even bring in more of a reddish tone to complement the brick as well.
So I did want to back up and say that there is one other option that we, with any of these, that one of the things that we're trying to do is maybe make the fireplace, give it kind of a surround statement piece in the room, but we don't have to do that. I'm gonna scroll back up, and that we could look at paints or any other, see, like, we could always just have it be painted drywall around the fireplace. That is also an option as well. And I just wanted to kind of give you this upper right-hand image here. It's got a white surround, but as we go through the finishes, any of the colors, we can make the fireplace a pop of color in the room. There are other options. I think we were just hoping, you know, trying to maybe use a tile to make a little bit more of a statement with it. So I don't have to pick some sort of tile, but we wanted to give you a variety of options. As we go through the palettes, and I'm going to go to the main palette, it sounds like I've been hearing from Cal that generally this carpet is not favorable.
That's right. You heard that right.
Is there anything else in this kind of palette A that you either like or dislike? Looking at maybe some of the colorways or the other carpet pattern or the tile.
I'm not real big on the mustard colors, the yellowish mustard, and actually I'm not real big on those colors.
Al, this is Bonnie. I agree. I think it's the darkest palette, and I think we will be a bit challenged by putting dark colors in the room. I think it will shrink it.
Yeah. Especially if colors aren't pleasant.
I think you know, we've got the tone of the brick is already, you know, it's not a cold color, you know, it's a warm color, but it is a darker color. I think, you know, particularly with the fireplace and the shelving units, if you want them to pop, you want them to go lighter colored.
Yeah.
And I think we may
frozen,
have.
aren't I?
I think the brick is really a pretty brick.
It is.
It is. It's beautiful.
You know, there's a lot done wrong in the building of that building, but at least I got the brick right.
And I will say, I think we lost Isela here. I mean, I can still see her on, but I don't know if we.
Sorry. No, I had
We've had some people dropping in and out. I dropped out a moment ago.
Okay.
No, and I think taking a noting color preference is, you know, obviously what the type of direction that we would need. You know, if this palette overall is not inspirational to you, something that, you know, you envision in that space, we can certainly move on. Carpet, paints, all of it, you know, absolutely.
So I did hear, like, not a fan of the main carpet here. The colors look a little too dark for the space. The brick and the wood, we're trying to pull from the building, so these are kind of, we'll call them existing finishes. Was there any what, you know, what do you think of the two tiles in this palette option? Is it something you'd like to actually see in person, or is it you like it, you don't like it?
I would like to see it in person, and I would like to see at least a photograph of what A looks like, because I have a feeling it's not going to look like that drawing.
Okay.
There
Sure.
would be more texture to it, I would think, than what shows on that drawing.
So that's an actual image of the sample, and it is a smooth finish to that tile.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fast forward to B and kind of just try to get some feedback on this. So B, just to summarize, I think you talked about more of a fabric-based woven carpet. You talked about a larger format tile option, a lot of different
Correct.
options in a larger format. And then it does look like the colors are a little brighter in the space. Any likes, dislikes?
Of those two carpet samples, I think the upper right one is nicer.
Okay.
And the colors are certainly better than the first option.
Okay.
I agree, Cal. I agree. What
Yeah.
is the center panel of between the brick and the wood? Is that a recommended tile? Is that
Yeah,
Right, so-
it's one of them.
Right. It's the metallic aged tile.
Okay.
Right. And that family does come in various options. What you're seeing right now are 3 of the families. So there's a lighter gray, which funny enough, they call it white. Then they've got the silver, the aged silver. And then the one below it is the aged zinc. And there is an aged bronze, which is definitely reddish, brownish in color.
And these are the tiles for the fireplace wall?
Correct. This is an option. Yes.
Yeah, right. I think, well, I kind of like to see that reddish option. But of these 4, to keep from going either too light or too dark, I think the one above, the one to the right of the A one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Well, we can definitely, when we come to the library, bring a lot of these options with and kind of put them in the space and kind of
That
look
would
at
help
them.
a lot because somewhat it depends on how much natural light is there. Now I realize the library is open at night, but yeah, I think to see them in the flesh in that space would be very helpful.
Yeah, it's a must for this. I think we're just trying to give you kind of some options here to kind of gauge your interaction. So it sounds like in general, the upper right carpet is preferred of this option. The lighter colors, color options are better. So I will jump into C and kind of gauge. I feel like this has a little bit of a medium tone to it in terms of the colors.
I know, but it looked like somebody's old suiting material.
It is an inspirational concept, but when you see it in person, it might feel and look different to you. I think looking at one of these tiles or all of these tiles in person, I think is definitely something that we should do. But is there something that you don't like about it? Is it too linear? Is it too many lines? Do you like one?
Yeah, all of the above. Too many lines, too linear, too. It looks like they rescued it from somebody's old suit coat.
Okay. Okay. What about the tile and the color?
Well, the
options?
colors are nice. They're a little bit more muted. That's a nice bricky type red. But I'm kind of partial to bright colors. Now that might not be everybody's cup of tea. But of the 3 sets of colors I've seen, number 2 was my favorite. Number 3, this one is pretty good. The only one I'm not fond of is that first set of colors.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just gonna jump in real quickly. I think one thing with the first set of colors that I noticed initially, at least with the teal colors, I think there's more of a reflection of our existing branding colors in that palette, and that's not necessarily something that we have to go with, but that was one of the things that I was struck by from the first one. It seems to fit with our existing logo and our existing colors that we use for that type of stuff. I do like that teal. It is a nice teal.
I'm going to jump in. I hear what you're saying, Katie. I'm going to point out your parents might remember this, the harvest gold and
Yes.
the avocado.
Yes.
I remember that.
Many of us came home from college to those kitchen appliances, and they're really hideous. I wouldn't want to have too many flashbacks occurring.
No, and I am just on a personal level, I am definitely more drawn to the teal colors in this palette, not as much the accent colors. But the
teals.
The overall feel was one that I thought was reminiscent of the colors that we have in our brand.
I agree.
No, I'm on board there. I like the teal on this first palette, but my eye is constantly drawn on this page to that accent yellow, which you are right, Kathy. Something has gone wrong with that yellow that brings back memories.
Yeah.
So
my washing machine. I had an awful yellow washing machine in the Navy quarters.
I think except for the teal, the A colors are not too popular.
Let me go back to C just to get, I did want to just ask a little bit about more of a traditional tile approach. Was there any, is it okay? Do you like it? Do you dislike it?
What are we passing judgment on?
So the surround of the fireplace would a more of a traditional tile approach. So I would say like the first one is, a little bit of a more modern, but still bringing in some older. Go ahead, Isela.
In the fireplace slide where we've got the variety of fireplaces, you can see a variety of some of these. There you go. So there's a variety of almost all of the options that we've been talking about. There's the chevron in the center. That's a tile, but that's a stone look tile. The bottom, right, exactly. That has a combination of both the metal and a typical, I would say more of a traditional tile surrounded. The one, right, I think that is a wood element around the opening. And then the top is definitely a stone application.
We've been avoiding kind of the stone because of the masonry backdrop.
Yeah.
They just that was too much stone on stone type of.
Right, it's a lot of texture.
Of all of these, the one that I would be absolutely not want is the chevron one.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think the next steps in terms of the finishes are take the feedback today, revise some of the palettes, and then we'd come in person to show you the finishes. And then we might update some of the renderings. I'm going to flip back to the renderings to show some of the tile options on the fireplace, kind of in this image. This again was really more spatial, kind of give you a feel of the room as a total, and also kind of give you a sense that we can, I think, bring in some different colors in the space and still, balance the look with different finishes.
Could you go back to the pictures where it showed the chevron that set of pictures?
These one?
Okay, the one on the lower left. That there seems to be two surrounds. There's the tile and then there's those darker. What is that darker stuff?
This?
I believe that
Other
is,
side, right hand side over here. Yeah, that's tile, right? The first, that's tile. And then what is the other?
that is metal. Can you enlarge that?
Yes.
Sorry.
I think it's just a
Thank
small
you.
format tile
Yeah,
around a large format tile. but
it looks like it's metal, but it might be actually a glass mosaic.
yeah,
It
looks
is a
like-
glass mosaic.
Yeah.
Well, number one, I think that the inner tile, the larger, that is a beautiful shade. Not too light, not too dark. And it isn't a solid color. It's kind of mottled in and out. That's really pretty and it's warm. So that's one thing to consider. Whether we would need the extra border, the metal or whatever it is.
Yeah, so the only one thing, the thing that I'd have a little bit of concerns with this, and we would want to take a look at it in your space, is this too close to the brick? You've got a nice warm orangey kind of reddish brick in the space, and I think that we wouldn't want to do a tile that matched it too much.
No, we wouldn't. You're right.
So this would be a great example of why we need to come and just kind of put these up against the wall and kind of get our feeling of what we like.
I
But
think
that particular fireplace is a really handsome fireplace. That's nice.
I think we all might like even the large format too against the brick too. A little bit of a contrast, but to be determined. Yep.
Yes.
So that'll be the next step. We'll put together a couple new finished palettes or revised, come and kind of talk through this. And then I did want to round up the conversation here. We have 3 kind of quick options. We got 3 more slides here for some furniture. I wanted to get your feeling on this. And this would be something else that we'd like to get ordered so that you can actually do a butt test and see how it actually feels.
Good idea.
So option A, I'm going to preface this with because we are putting 4 lounge chairs in the room, there is a specific size that we are looking for in order to accommodate the 4 lounge chairs. So what you're seeing are more of a openish chair that is upholstered. It is upholstered back and seat, and it does have an upholstered surround. So by upholstered, I mean we can look at variety of fabrics, whether it could be a fabric treated option or a vinyl option for durability. Colors right now, don't look at the colors. Let's just look at the actual style of the chair and, some of the features of the chair. The chairs that we are showing have more of a wood base legs, and that is just more complementary to your existing wood. The side table in the center, we wanted to keep it simple, something that in the base is not going to take up a lot of space, but that it has a usable surface that is reachable from both sides of the lounge chair. The study seating is complementary in the lines of the chairs to the lounge seating. So it's taking a nod from that, and also has the wood legs option. Right now we're seeing more of a black base, but we can certainly bring in that warmer wood tone to complement the wood that you have in your room. The base in the center of the table is very similar to what is on the table next to the lounge seating. It would just be a rectangular tabletop.
The chairs come in a lot of other colors than green. I know you already said that. I still wanted to say it again.
Yeah.
So these chairs,
excuse me, did you say the tabletop was rectangular?
So we do show a rectangular tabletop in the floor plan, but we can certainly go with a round. It's just the rectangular option is probably going to have more surface in the size that we need for the room. Yeah, the round is going to be, it's going to have to be a pretty small round top. And, you know, we just want to make sure that you have a usable surface in that room. So these chairs that you're seeing right now, the study chairs, they come in a variety of color because they are what we call a poly chair. Poly chair is a plastic molded seat and back. And this option right now is just for high durability. It can be, there's a variety of different colors that we can choose from the manufacturer. And at times, you know, we could look at different options for this chair as well.
Does the poly refer to its many uses, or?
The poly is typically just oh God, I forgot the full, it's
polypropylene.
Yes, polypropylene. I was going to say polyurethane, but that's not it.
So it refers to the material that the chair is made
Yes,
from.
yes, it's more of, right, exactly.
Okay.
Option B is a more of a rounder, curved option. Again, we've got the lounge seating is using, it has some wood legs, a variety of tones that we can choose from. This has a slightly open back in the bottom, and it does have a little bit more arm in the chair, you know, for the ease of getting up and out of the chair. We could do a multitude of different colors and fabric combinations on these chairs.
How low are these chairs?
So we're not going to go too low on these chairs because I know sometimes lounge seating can get pretty low and it would be hard to get up from.
Yeah.
So these chairs, I would say, would be kind of like in the average seat, let's just say like your office chair or your kitchen chair, maybe depending on the manufacturer. I don't want to tell you specifically the height, but it does range. What I would say is that we would want something that is easier to get out of. So nothing too low for a lounge chair.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then this manufacturer does have complementary chairs. So basically it's the same design. It just, the study chairs, again, don't have arms because we are at the at a smaller table. And the seat is upholstered with a poly back option. And so the poly, again, like the previous slide, does have a variety of colors to choose from. The table, the study table, you could see the rectangular top and more of a 4-prong leg. Sometimes these tables do have a power option. So you could see that it looks like a little button at the top. Sometimes those tables will run power through the leg, and then there'll be a cord hanging down that would plug into either the floor or the wall. And then that top button would actually have, it's a housing for a USB port, or sometimes just a plug. So a prong plug, an outlet would be able to. So there's other options for power options for these tables, but that just seems, that's just one manufacturer.
Excellent.
The last option I would say is more transitional and traditional looking than the rest. So this would be more of what we call the tuxedo lounge seating. This has a rectangular look to it. The arms, I think, are again, it's the size that we need it to be, but this definitely has the feature of the arms, easier to get in and out of. And what I do like about this chair is that the seat actually is pushed forward out a little bit. So it's another way and another means of pushing yourself out from that chair. The side table, simple, just it mimics the legs on the chairs. Right now, the chairs are showing more of a metal leg. And We could do a wood leg. There's a variety of options, but this just happens to be a metal leg. Sure.
The only problem with that chair, the lounge seating chair,
Mm-hmm.
those arms get in your way when you're trying to read comfortably because they're too high to sit your elbows on, but it's too tight to squeeze your arms down in between them.
Okay.
So
well, we can get a sample so you can try one out.
That would be good.
Yeah. Sure.
I have a question for the librarian, Seth. And looking at the table and chairs, I know it's down the road, but at some point in time, we would hope to be moving the circulation desk and putting in chairs and tables for laptop use as well as multi-purpose use. I had envisioned chairs and tables that could both be at a seated height and at a standing height. So we would have that flexibility and also be able to move this chairs and tables around the library for whatever might be happening. Is that something that you guys would want to have these chairs facilitate, or am I just thinking of another project?
I don't know how essential off the top of my head that functionality is going to be. Okay. In terms of the study chairs, really some of the essential things would, beyond being super durable, would be we need them to be on casters, definitely, because people will drag them around no matter what we do. And if they can't roll, then they're just going to gradually be wearing grooves in the down into the carpeting. So that's a must. In terms of the lounge seating, if it would be possible to get some sort of a jack for like a USB charge and those, that would be, I think, nice. Martha, Katie, what do you think in terms of the study seating? Do we need them to have the height adjustment? Do you think that Kathy is talking about?
I feel like in general, like for height adjustment, I don't know, and this is anecdotal, but I feel like people tend to have very strong opinions about like high tops and not liking them. So whereas I don't hear quite as much about the lower seating, like I feel like more people just like hate high tops, but there's less.
They're more ambivalent towards.
Yeah, I mean, just regular chairs.
What are high tops? What do you mean by that?
Like a taller chair.
Tall chairs.
Huh?
Yeah.
Like a stool, like a bar stool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, those, I know what you mean. They're hard to get into.
Yeah, I don't think that we would go that route with either the desk or the study bar, or definitely not with the service point that we would be putting in on the main floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think a lot of our research has shown that, for good reasons, everybody's moving away from taller desks, that they tend to be less approachable. If somebody's like they're working at Gringotts, the Harry Potter fans. So.
Well, and it's less accessible for people too. I mean, obviously there can be issues if a chair is too low, but typically something that is more of a standard height is much more accessible for a wider group of people than something that's taller. I wasn't necessarily thinking about this furniture in terms of possible compatibility with other areas of the future eventual stages of the remodeling plan. So I think going with a standard, like something more standard like we're looking at here, I think is probably going to be our best bet.
No, I did want to go back and hit some of the highlights that Eric said. So durable casters. I'm talking more about the study seating. I'm assuming you weren't meaning casters for the lounge seating. Okay, just double checking.
No, though in in general, portability is usually a plus for pretty much everything.
But in this space, do you see the need for casters on these chairs in this one room?
In the
for
study
study
chairs?
chairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing I would offer with some of these chairs, the other concern I had too was I know arms are sometimes something that is necessary for senior citizens who are having difficulty, especially getting out of the chair. And I noticed that some of the study seating didn't have that, and I know that that's a space consideration, but that was just something that I was slightly concerned about, because I think the last time we had a renovation, we had people come to the public comment to complain about chairs.
Okay.
So it's just one of those things.
You know, I understand the need for those chairs to have casters on them, but I also understand the danger of that.
Yeah.
They scoot.
Yeah. You know, and maybe I'm getting a little caught up in what we've got in there at present, and I should be thinking more perhaps about the chairs that we've already got out in the public space. Those do not have casters on, certainly.
I was gonna say, well, there might be something that we could put on the bottoms of the feet to make it easier to move so that they're not necessarily dragging on the
Yes.
carpet, but it's not an actual, like a wheeled chair that's gonna
Right.
scoot out from underneath you.
Yes.
all of a sudden.
So the most chair manufacturers will have different types of feet glide options. So, you know, whether it's a small metal glide that is part of the leg structure, that will help create less friction as you're pulling the chair out. There are other plastic glides. So depending on the manufacturer and the chair that we end up choosing, we will then need to look at the glide options and make sure that we select something that is going to, you know, work the easiest on a carpet.
I am not trying to sway you one way or the other in terms of arms. I don't know if this room is big enough. I would be concerned about because you're gonna have to get into a chair with arms, you do have to move it. So that the nice thing about a chair without arms is you can kind of slide in and out of them depending on the age. You also have a width issue. Once you put arms on there, you are setting a width. So people of different widths have problems with arms.
That's a fair point.
We can do whatever you guys want. There are arms and armless. It's not, we typically don't see as many armed study chairs, but we do see armed task chairs, which are usually more at like computer stations and more task oriented stuff. So, and casters, no casters, that's not a huge, there's tons of options. We just tried to narrow it down, but we can come with more.
Mm-hmm. And most of these manufacturers, for example, this chair does come with an arm option. The arm doesn't encompass the full length of the seat like sometimes arms do. It's a smaller little arm that kind of just comes out, and it's meant most of the time for elbows to rest on. But it is a level for getting in and out of the chair. So we will take that into consideration with the next chairs that we look at and the samples that we request.
Besides with your durability comment, Eric, what do you think about a vinyl based seat for a study chair? Is that something that you want to consider, or is an all poly chair kind of a little bit more what you had in mind?
You mean by poly hard plastic?
Yeah.
Correct. For this room.
Well, to provide an example of an area where we've had concern is with some of the chairs that we currently have in the computer space. Those have some areas where they've got some thin fabric webbing that is not held up well. That is worn through pretty quickly. a lot more quickly than we would have hoped for furniture that we were paying, the usual industrial going rate for something that was going to be in a public space. Versus that, the chairs that we have out currently in the main seating area right now, I feel like have held up pretty well. So it's just wanting to be sure that it wears well. I don't think it has to be poly for that purpose. The ones that we've got out in the main public area, have fabric seating and fabric back, and have held up well enough that I don't think we've actually had to think about problems with any of them yet.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of gauge that, because I think for this room, we are showing an all poly option, but I think that with a quiet reading room, there's more of an expectation of comfort.
Yes.
And so I think that you're going to get a little bit more comfort with either a poly back fabric seat, and fabric could be is most likely vinyl.
Yeah.
Or even a vinyl seat.
Mm-hmm.
That matches what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't want to, you said durability, so I just wanted to double check. I think poly's your most durable, but it's probably it's not as comfortable as a cushion.
Right. Well, I mean, I would say that our experience with the all poly furniture has generally been that they will last past the point where you want to keep them. So, you want it to last, but as long as you need it, you don't want to end up with hooray, my Harvest Gold, circling back to that, Jim, my Harvest Gold poly still rocking it 40 years later.
Right.
You can't really call that a win. Okay. Stuff does need to be on a regular basis.
It lasts so long, it goes out of fashion and then comes back in.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, we want a reasonable amount of durability that will last us next 10 to 15 years.
And then in terms of the lounge chairs, we've got one with, I'd say, low arms, kind of that medium arm that SL was talking about, not a full arm. And then we do have a full arm. Is there a general preference for that? Just note, the lounge chairs are thinner in this space. They are not, I wouldn't say, they're not very wide lounge chairs. And that is basically because of the space limitations. Did you have a preference of any of the three?
I think you got to sit in the chair before you can figure out if you have a preference.
Sounds good. I just didn't want to order one that you were like, no way, not near.
Yeah, go to that middle one again. I don't know about that one. I don't know how comfortable that would be. And then the first one. That looks pretty comfortable, but and those would not get in the way when you're reading.
Now, the nice thing about I think, is that it does have a little bit of, it's a small chair, but it allows for, it's not closed in.
Yeah.
And I think B still has some of that too, because the arms are a little bit flared.
Yeah.
And the only concern I have with C is it too narrow? But I think that the arms are really nice, and I think that, like Isela pointed out, the front cushion having a little extra room so you can kind of scoot forward and push yourself out is nice.
Yeah.
If there's not a strong opinion on any of them, we can get all three. If you'd like to see more, we could try to get some more.
I don't think there's a strong opinion.
Okay. What about
there might be a strong opinion after I sit in one of them.
Well, I hope so. It sounds like
Shaun, this is Bonnie. I think it would be helpful if I have a preference around these chairs, which is I like the wood legs. I think it's a much warmer, much less industrial kind of look. And if the group agrees, maybe then we ask for all of these samples to have wood legs. Even the study seating chairs, I think, should have wood legs. It just takes it from being like a
Sure.
school or a lunchroom.
Right.
to
So I
feeling
think
a little more like a home.
yes, and I will make that request to get the specific chair with the wood leg. Sometimes we don't have an option. They might have the chair, but then the legs might be the metal leg. So I will try to see to make sure that we get as much of the wood option as possible with all of these samples.
Right.
Yeah, I know what Bonnie's saying, because you look at these chairs here, they look like they belong at a Dairy Queen on, outside
Right.
seating, Dairy Queen.
Right.
So I think
Is that a good statement or a negative statement?
That's a negative statement.
Okay. So that's go with the wood. Don't go with the Dairy Queen plastic legs or metal legs. Okay.
and I based on what I heard, we're gonna not get a all poly chair. This chair does have a fabric seat option. Would you want to see this chair with a fabric seat, or would you just want to eliminate this chair?
I think they need, personally, I think you need to test this chair.
Okay.
Because this chair does come with the arm option, it comes with the upholstered seat option, and it does have the one thing you don't see in this image, which you will find out when we test the chairs, is that the back has a little flexibility, so that when you try to get comfortable and sit back a little bit, there is, it's designed to have flex points for comfort.
So it gives a little bit.
It gives a little bit, and it gives, it's all under warranty. It's designed to give comfort. So I think it would be important to test at least this one out.
It is a very popular chair with other clients. So I agree that you should at least test it.
Yeah.
Either of these, anything in here you want to see, not see, we can.
The only thing about this chair is that it's powerfully ugly, but that might be the color of the back. I don't know.
We can certainly get a sample of it or something similar to it. It doesn't necessarily have to be this specific chair. Do you like the curve design versus what option B is showing is more of a slightly angular design to the chair?
It just doesn't look as comfortable as the first chair. That one, particularly since that one has, the first one has that little bit of give in it. Because I know we have some chairs down in the spruce room that have a little bit of give in the back, and boy, those are comfortable when you got to sit through a long meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Those are chairs.
I'm sitting in one right now.
Okay.
All right.
Actually, that's a good point. Maybe somebody could take a picture of one of those chairs, because I think we got all those chairs donated for free. And everyone commented that they were so much more comfortable than what we were replacing. So maybe
Better look them
take
too.
a picture and send it to Shaun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 23 this is our last slide, or slide page 23.
Mhm.
So I'll PDF this up, get it over to Eric, and you can distribute, and I'll work with Eric to get a couple of things. One, to set up a meeting where we can look at finishes in person, and then two, Eric, could we put you as the point person? So we're going to call up furniture vendors, and they're going to want to deliver furniture, and they're going to want to contact someone, and then they're going to want a location where they can put it. Is that,
Okay.
Are you the right person for that?
Yep.
Okay.
So, it'll be here, but then it'll leave, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So it will be there for you to test them all out, and kind of, we'll give you a grading sheet for each for the chairs. And then you guys can grade the chairs, and then we can factor in all the grades and then determine and vote which is the most comfortable chair. And then you can tell us if indeed that is the one you want to get.
So I figured that the chairs wouldn't stay, but I did want to check
No.
because I ended up keeping those roofing samples.
Yes. Yeah, usually it's about there might be a straggler that we'll have to call a few times to come and have them pick up their chair, but usually it's about a week or two that they drop off and then they pick up. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time, and we did go over a little bit here. I apologize about that, but a lot of great comments.
Quite all right.
Thank you for the interaction today.
Yeah, I have two questions, if you don't mind, just for Shaun. One is, and obviously it's going to be longer than we'd hoped for. The question is, at what time do you think we could have a rendering of what this room will look like with furniture and fireplace?
I think as soon as we pick finishes and furniture, we'll get it in there and we'll get it rendered up. So if we can maybe, I would say the minimum for furniture delivery, Isela, what do you think? 2 weeks minimum? It usually takes a little bit to get that coordinated.
Yes, and to see what's available. And we also, obviously the holidays do impact that. So we will, I will be making these phone calls tomorrow morning, try to gather some samples and get things delivered to you as soon as possible.
Okay. And Shaun, my second question is, I asked a while ago for the estimate on the lettering Lake Bluff Library on the stairs.
Yeah, I did. I'll try to find that out. I know I sent over an image. What I was planning to do after the meeting today was we're going to wrap up this plan set here, along with all the elevations, and then we're going to put in a couple of material options and send it over to Shales McNutt for an estimate, because I do want to see where we're sitting in terms of the budget of the project.
Great.
I sent the image over. I don't. I'll check on that. The image of the stairs, the public library.
That's right. Yeah.
I sent it over, and I do not have pricing on it, so I will get that to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well, can we get that before the end of the year?
Yes.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
No, not for you, Shaun. I think the rest of the committee have a quick item from last meeting to cover, but I think the Engberg team can leave.
Okay.
If that's all right with you, Eric. Kathy.
That is fine.
Oh, great.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can leave too?
Thank you.
Eric, at this point, can I leave?
I'm not sure what our topic is, Bonnie.
Yeah, so
what's our?
So it's from last month, the other business piece about the state of Illinois grant.
Oh, yes. Nothing new to report. Doesn't seem to be any movement. The news articles that I have found suggest that new portions of the funds for Rebuild Illinois are being awarded, but that just means that, saying that people will get the money, not actually giving it to anybody. So I am working up I'm most of the way done with the roster as far as listing all of the building projects that we've done since July 1st of 2019. So I'm hoping at some point here that I'll have something more specific.
Great. Yeah, that's what was kind of recorded from last month, was about the list of projects. So from July of 2019. So does the roof and the parking lot both fit in there then? The roof?
If we wanted to draw on the funds to pay for those projects, we could do so.
It includes the roof. I guess I thought the roof was not.
Oh, not the roof, not the roof.
No, not the roof. Yeah.
The roof happened beforehand, but the parking lot, yes.
Okay.
But then we did work up on the roof after the roof was done. So
yes,
I think that we were gonna. But anyway, you and I are meeting tomorrow. I'd like to have those numbers to take a look at, because finance meets again on Monday. We should know what all that is.
Okay, sounds good. So finance on Monday. right, that was the only other thing I had, just
Yeah.
having, read through the minutes earlier today.
Is anybody else on this right now? I see Nathan. Is Nathan still with us?
Nathan is, no, he's gone. Cal, there's 4 of us here.
Are Martha and Katie on this?
No, they're not.
Okay. All right, I was just going to mention one thing about last night. Bonnie, I'm so glad you were there. I was talking to Janie today, and I guess you had a conversation with Melissa about some conversations regarding the museum and approaching the museum about some possible movement. That would be extremely premature to discuss outside the library community. We'll go over December meeting. We're going to talk about a little bit of history. It's actually been approached and never worked out. But the topic came up again, which is why Melissa probably mentioned. I wasn't part of the conversation. Janie just said, because Janie flew to Philadelphia today. She said, I just wanted you to know that this conversation took place. So if you could just keep that to yourself, which I'm sure you will, and we will discuss a little background at the December meeting. We just don't want to start. Rumors happen very fast in the library museum community. I mean, it is, talk about wildfire, it is just fast. So we want to be sure that we're all have the same message.
Great. I think it would be helpful if Melissa can be with us for that part of our discussion on the 14th. Because
she usually tries to make those meetings. I will double check with her as far as her planned attendance.
Yeah, she actually, Eric, we talked, and I was going to bring up to the end of this round. She's going to make a presentation to the board on what she's doing, what now everybody other than Matt and Bill have attended this, but nonetheless, make sure everyone is in the same place. So yeah, she'll be there, and then I'll give a little background, and hopefully we'll all be fully apprised as to what is happening, what has happened, and what, who knows what will happen. So.
Yeah. And I sense that, like me, Melissa's kind of learning.
Yes.
Every time you talk to someone, whether it's a board member or a staff member at the library, you learn a little bit more about the building itself, the history museum relationship, et cetera. And it's would be nice to get everyone on the same page.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Okay. I mean, just the project itself has been an odyssey. All of the different permutations and conversations with different stakeholders that we've had over the years. Kathy, if it would be helpful, I could update we had that calendar document where we were tracking all of the different steps that we had taken throughout the project.
I vaguely remember that. This has been going on for so long. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the length was why we started getting away from that, because it was getting to be like 7 or 8 pages.
Yeah, I think an abbreviated timeline would be useful. Just but it's far more complex now than anybody would want to go through, and a lot of it's irrelevant. So maybe updating that a little bit. But we'll definitely have everybody in one place on the 14th, and we'll go over this. I know. Just catching Eric up here, because I talked to Jen last night as well. She is very comfortable postponing the volunteer discussion until January. So I think we have enough time to really devote, a chunk of time this month to making sure everybody's in exactly the same place and questions are answered and everything that's going on. So
that'll be good.
Great. Well, thank you, Bonnie, for asking a lot of questions and wanting to know what's happening. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I like to be kind of in the know, but I also know there's a lot that's happened well before I arrived. So appreciate you and Eric both kind of helping bring me up to speed on things.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. Happy
well,
to
part of why the questions I think are important is that there's been enough that's happened that Kathy, I don't know about you, but sometimes, I catch myself where I'm like, oh yeah, we were talking about that at some point.
Right.
And it's just gotten to be a big ball of string. Yeah. And sometimes it's helpful to have somebody pull on some of those threads.
Right. We're looking forward to that. So anyway, sorry to drag this out, but I wanted to touch both of you at the same time. So.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great.
I think
All right.
should we move for an adjournment or?
I so
We,
move.
Kathy motions for an adjournment. Bonnie, I'm going to assume that you'll
I will.
second.
Be happy to second at 5:41.
All righty.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Great. Thanks.
All
Take
right.
care, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.